I think the chances that this ceasefire will hold are not good at all.
Why?
So I don't know about you guys, but I like to live in reality. And unfortunately, when you live in reality, you have to accept a lot of unfortunate truths from time to time. And one of those unfortunate truths is something that recently has been going on with this Israel-Gaza peace deal. You have like Steve Witkoff and Donald Trump and Jared Kushner, Tony Blair, and just this cadre of absolute buffoons and evil fucking degenerate corporate feudal scumbags, like if we're just being honest, cobbling together this deal with a maniacal regime led by war criminal Netanyahu, in the middle of this Gaza siege genocide that's been going on the last 2 years. And we're expected to believe that these people, led by Donald Trump, who is doing it out of complete, self-interest, without really understanding the dynamics or the cultural, history or any of the details or nuance of the situation, we're expected to believe that those are the people that are going to get a peace deal together and that are going to somehow, force Israel's hand into upholding it for some long-lasting peace that's going to end in a two-state solution and rebuilding Gaza and, justice and human rights for the Palestinians. Well, that seems like within moments of it happening, it seems to have been, it seems to be collapsing before our very eyes. You have reports of Israel breaking the Gaza ceasefire, airstrikes killing. Like if we had a shooting that killed 26 people in one instance, that is like one of the greatest tragedies in American history, or in global history, like in global modern history. It's an absolute tragedy. It happens on a daily basis. It happens days after a ceasefire that was apparently supposed to stop all of this from happening. You have absolute carnage and slaughter going on. They're blaming Hamas. What a surprise, for breaking the ceasefire, saying that it's Hamas. It's because of Hamas that they had to break the ceasefire. Of course, when we're talking about being realists and being rational in the face, you have two sides of this thing. You have people like John Mearsheimer, who is the realist in the situation. Then you have people like Piers Morgan, who are willing and begging, dripping, and jumping at the opportunity to take any small, perceived potential victory of Donald Trump and spin it into an instant positive direction without any regard for reality or facts on the ground. And this is it's not helpful. Here we have John Mearsheimer just schooling Piers Morgan to his face, making him look like an innocent child in the face of all of this. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this.
It feels like a day of history today. What is your assessment of the ceasefire, of the dramatic release of all remaining living hostages, and of the scenes in the Knesset with President Trump? What is your view of it all?
Well, I could make a number of points. First of all, it's wonderful to see the hostages released for their sake and for their families' sake. And it's wonderful to see the Palestinian prisoners released as well. That is all a net positive. In terms of President Trump and his performance in the Israeli Knesset, it was vintage Trump. He's one of the greatest showmen of all time. His ability to put on a rock and roll show is just not to be underestimated. I don't think there's any other politician in our history or on the planet at this point in time who can operate before an audience as well as he does.
Yeah.
Now, with regard to substance, which is, of course, the key issue, I think that this hostage exchange, this temporary ceasefire and hostage exchange, is definitely a move forward. But the two critical questions on the table are, number one, will you get a permanent ceasefire? Will the ceasefire hold? And then number two, will you get a genuine peace agreement at the end of this entire process? And I think there is zero chance you'll get a peace agreement. And I think the chances that this ceasefire will hold are not good at all.
Why?
Well, the Israelis are bent on destroying Hamas, and more importantly, they're bent on ethnically cleansing the Palestinians from Gaza. That's their principal goal. They have not defeated Hamas. And there's no way that they're going to end up disarming and defeating Hamas as a result of this ceasefire. It's just not going to happen. And I can explain why. And furthermore, the Israelis are not going to completely leave Gaza as long as Hamas is not defeated. And given that situation, coupled with the fact that Netanyahu and company are determined to drive the Palestinians out of Gaza, it's only a matter of time, I think, I hope I'm wrong, I think, before the ceasefire breaks down and we're back to conflict. By the way, Piers, you want to remember, right before President Trump took office, he took office on January 20th. On January 19th, a ceasefire was put into place. And that ceasefire lasted until March 18th when the Israelis broke it. But over the course of that ceasefire, the January to March 2025 ceasefire, 33 Israeli prisoners were released and 5 Thai prisoners were released. So we have a precedent here. But the fact is, after this earlier hostage exchange, it broke down, the ceasefire broke down, and you were back to the genocide. And my great fear is that that's what will happen this time.
So we've been here, we've done this before, we have the recent historical precedent. What Mearsheimer understands, or what I believe I understand in this situation, is that as long as the posture is that we are still deferring to Israel when it comes to, I mean, I know Trump is like strong arming Netanyahu a little bit and trying to get his way and get his peace deal. But it seems like Israel is still leading. They still have a foothold in leading the conversation and leading sort of the power structure between how much influence we have in order to tell them what to do and how to manage the situation. And you also have, neocons and freaks in, Trump's negotiating circle that potentially are sabotaging that on that side as well. That will defer to Israel's, full cleansing of Gaza and what have you, and not allowing the situation to actually get to the conclusion, the peaceful resolution that it needs to. You need leadership that actually understands the situation, that actually is looking to escalate this or de-escalate this towards a peaceful two-state solution with all rights involved, with human rights for all sides, to strong-arm the Israeli, to decouple the influence of the Israeli lobby and the Israeli influence on U.S. politics and get to an actual solution where you are telling Israel, hey, go away, shut the fuck up, we are in charge now, we are going to get this towards a solution where, everybody, all sides are, the Israelis maybe won't be so happy about it, but they'll be better off for it in the long term because they will have peace in the region, because they'll stop bombing and terrorizing and destroying and stealing the land of these people, right? So that is the way I understand it. Unfortunately, obviously Trump and them are not the people that are going to deliver that.
The thing that I was most concerned about in the last few months was the increasing rhetoric from the likes of Smotrich and Ben-Gvir in the Israeli government, the hard right element of that government, where they were talking in the most brazen way about ethnic cleansing. I mean, they were making it crystal clear that they now saw the mission as kicking Palestinians out, cleansing Gaza, as they put it, and taking that land, which they believed is, their religious right. But what's interesting to me is today, coupled with all the scenes of hostages going home and Trump in the Knesset and so on, you also saw thousands of Palestinians going back into where their remains of their homes are to try and start rebuilding their lives. That is not consistent with my fear that Israel was really plotting to expel them all and keep them out. Are you not encouraged by the scenes of so many Palestinians being allowed to go back to where their homeland was?
It's hard not to feel good about seeing the Palestinians return to their homes. It warms the cockles of my heart, although it's terribly depressing to see what's happened to their homes. But the more important question, Piers, is what is the political settlement here? There are two big questions. Who is going to run Gaza? In other words, is there going to be Palestinian self-determination? Are the Palestinians going to run Gaza? That's number one. And then number two, what is the political horizon? What is the end game here? And with regard to the question of who is going to run Gaza now, it's not going to be the Palestinians. It's going to be President Trump and apparently Tony Blair and some of the Arab armies in the neighborhood are going to provide security. But the Palestinians are not going to have self-determination here. They're not going to run Gaza. And then, more importantly, in terms of the long term, there's not going to be any two-state solution. There's no political solution here. So this one's just going to go on and on.
Exactly.
I mean, you're very downbeat about it, but others who are involved at the sort of sharp end of negotiations, they do believe that out of the hell of the last 2 years, there is a genuine opportunity and a genuine collective will from the neighboring Arab and Muslim countries, including Turkey, Egypt, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, to try and use this as a way of getting to a two-state solution. Why are you so pessimistic about it?
I mean, Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it unequivocally clear on countless occasions that there's not going to be a two-state solution.
He has, but what if he's not there?
Unequivocally. It's a position that's widely shared in Israel. And after what's happened over the past 2 years, do you think any Israeli is going to be interested in a two-state solution? Probably the number you can count on one hand. It's just not going to happen. The Israelis have already de facto annexed Gaza and de facto annexed the West Bank. Their principal goal now is to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians out of those two areas. The idea of ethnically cleansing Greater Israel has been wired into Zionism from the very beginning. This is why you had massive ethnic cleansing in 1948 and 1967. And here, after 2023, you had a big war, and the Israelis always see big wars as an opportunity to ethnically cleanse. And that's what they are trying to do.
Okay, but there are two.
So it's like they keep going back to, well, Netanyahu's the one that's standing in the way of it. Once we get rid of Netanyahu, then the Israelis will come to their rational senses and they'll elect a rational leader that will take us to a, well, no, because if you look at the polling and you listen to people in interviews on the street in Israel, they are radicalized beyond your wildest imagination. These people are completely too far gone with regards to reaching, they're a petulant child as a population that has gone off the rails. They are misbehaving, to the high heavens. And you have the counterforce, which would be the United States, that should be the one that holds them in check. That should be the countervailing force to be able to, to set them straight. And we're not doing it, right? We're just not doing it. You don't have the right leadership in charge. You don't have the right people in charge to be able to do that. The same people have done this before, and it's collapsed for the same reasons. And so until we see something else, new leadership, a new kind of plan in place, we're not going to see it happen, unfortunately. I don't think so. There you have it. John Mearsheimer just, babying Piers Morgan's little toddler brain, exposing the reality of this unfortunate situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Drop a like, subscribe, stick around for more of these breakdowns. I'll see you in the future.